G'day. Michael Barnier thinks the UK's proposals post-Brexit are unrealistic. Barnier's comments came today while on a visit to Portugal, where the EU middleman illustrated the gap between Brussels and the UK. The EU's Brexit. Mr. Barnier stressed that realism is needed on the future relationship. His comments come after EU officials said Britain currently has a fantasy approach to Brexit talks, and particularly the issue of leaving the customs union. Earlier this week, Mrs. May rejected the European Commission's fallback option to cover the border, which would see Northern Ireland remain closely tied to EU rules, effectively creating a new border in the Irish Sea. She promised to put forward the UK's alternative backstop proposal, although the Prime Minister remains hopeful of finding a way to solve the problem of the border within the wider post-Brexit deal. On Friday, UK Chancellor Philip Hammond arrived in Brussels to talk with other European finance ministers at the Economic and Financial Affairs Council. Mr. Hammond insisted that talks with EU officials were constructive after reports from the continent that Britain was being unrealistic and little progress made in discussions in recent days. Get a Brexit news. Michael Barnier has criticized the UK's post-Brexit plan. Speaking in Brussels, Mr. Hammond contradicted Mr. Barnier, saying, "We are having very constructive discussions." I don't think that is a particularly helpful comment. There are obviously a wide range of views on both sides, but everybody that I have engaged with has been very constructive, very keen to find a way to move forward. We are very conscious of the ticking clock and the need to make significant progress for the June European Council, and that is what we are here to do. The increase in tension emerged after the UK made clear it would seek a return of £1 billion in funding it has put into the Galileo satellite system if the EU continued to shut Britain out of key aspects of the project post-Brexit. Mr. Hammond added the UK was prepared to see external non-European partners to develop its own rival to Galileo if it had to. He told members of the Council, "We need access to a satellite system of this kind. Our plan has always been to work as a core member of the Galileo project, contributing financially and technically to the project. If that proves impossible, then Britain will have to go it alone, possibly with other partners outside Europe and the US, to build a third competing system. But for national security strategic reasons, we need access to a system, and we will ensure we will get it." Commenting on the latest plan put forward by the UK to avoid the creation of a hard border between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, an EU official said, "We need to do away with the fantasy that there is a UK-wide solution." The Prime Minister's key Brexit advisor, Oliver Robbins, had earlier insisted that Britain had presented its case calmly and professionally during talks in Brussels. Mr. Robbins said, "Very proud of the ex-government team that worked so hard to support technical talks in Brussels this week. UK proposals for a deep relationship, calmly and professionally presented." Bank of England Governor Mark Carney has said a disorderly Brexit transition period may trigger a cut in interest rates, or force a pumping of money into the economy, in order to stabilize the situation. Addressing the Society of Professional Economists, he said if that happened, the bank's Monetary Policy Committee (MPC) would face a trade-off between the speed with which it returns inflation to target and the support policy provides to jobs and activity. Earlier this week, Mr. Carney said Brexit has knocked real household incomes by around £900 and lowered growth by up to 2% against what the Bank of England had expected in 2016 if the UK had voted to remain in the EU.